can be found in any number of places. Scientists will tell you that it comes in newtons. Gamers will say that it can be found in silky skills. We will say that the power lies in real thrills. In the play with perfect ping. In the runes and crystals. In every frag and gank. In your personal winnings. Lock and load for PGL Arlington.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are getting into game number 2's draft here between Boom Esports and, of course, Entity. It's MLP Dota and John X Fire once again. Jonathan, game 1 going the way of Entity in, I want to say, decisive fashion. Once you hit that mid-game, they just did not slow down. Odds not reflecting that whatsoever, by the way, from the GG bet whatsoever. Boom, still the favorites going against Entity. John, we are going to head into the draft because it has already begun, so let's go over there. But talk to me about that game 1. You kind of talked about it already, but we had to cut you a little bit short. Where did things go wrong, and what would you like to see changed from Boom, and maybe even Entity, if you feel like there's anything that needed to be changed that game?
I think Entity had the right idea. They drafted to their strengths. They drafted to their strengths and to the weaknesses of Boom. Boom, they still forced out the Ursa pick. They went with the NP for FPZ, which was decent enough, was very active early on. But the itemization kind of fell flat. There were no force staffs to help out Jackie to get away from the Razor, to stop the static link. The curses from Scam weren't on point. The ads from FPZ, it felt like it had no impact for such a huge investment. And at some point, Yopaj was getting very, very overconfident on that Ember, just jumping in, not respecting the grip, not respecting the follow-up. So I think Boom has to reel it in just a little bit, tie in that excitement, because they had a really strong start, but then they got a little bit ahead of themselves, and this gave Entity all the openings they needed, because Entity is a good team. They're a good team, and you have to respect that.
Absolutely. You definitely can't underestimate these guys, and well, the draft has begun. We should talk about that a little bit, as the Bat Rider was first picked up here by Entity. And they go right into the Chen. Again, we talk about this Chen quite a bit every time it is picked up, John, but it's one of those heroes where if you get off to a good start with a hero like this, or if your team gets off to a good start, it's really, really hard to slow down that momentum. Like the constant heals coming in, the billion auras you get with all the jungle creeps that he tends to take, the amount of push you get, it's just very challenging to slow down the momentum once Entity gets underway with this kind of Chen lineup.
Yeah, it just keeps rolling. It just helps you keep winning while you're winning. From behind, it can feel a little bit awkward, though, but Entity, they've shown us that they can get themselves ahead and just stay ahead. So this is, again, also one of the heroes that they've been picking up a lot recently, along with that Winter Wyvern, which Boom picked up first. So I'm wondering now how else they build on top of it. Like the Bat Rider is already kind of nice here for Entity. Some flexibility for mid or off lane as well, to kind of just get a good matchup. Nothing on Boom to really cancel off the lasso. No dispels on hand. They could maybe opt for something on support or off lane, although with the DD around, that's probably just our FBZ hero. But you could still gun for, say, a support Vendred swap. You could gun for an Abaddon with the Aphotic Shield if you really feel like something's necessary to stop that Bat Rider. We'll have to see what Boom feels like doing up against the Bat. I do
10 seconds
have my concerns, because if you look at Entity just with Batrider Chen, that does tell you they're
5
going to be
seconds
playing fast
remaining.
again. You know, in fact, I'd say they'd play a lot faster than they did in game one, where Boom was winning out in the lanes. Entity has the potential to actually come out with much stronger lanes to play with, and Boom might not have that opening to just run around with the early trial lanes, with the early rotations we saw teams do, and kind of try to run them down from there. I don't think Entity will allow that to happen again.
Certainly not. Definitely much more prepared, I'm sure, just in case they do want to try and run them down once
Radiant
again. As
team ban.
well, final bans to come out. The draft is actually going relatively fast here between these two teams. Boom Esports just focusing in on the off lane, just paying respect to Saberlight, who was just fantastic that last game
Dire
around.
team ban.
Get rid of the Enigma as well. Just a lot of respect bans towards
Dire
Saberlight here in this
team
this game
Radiant
2
team
draft.
pick.
Entity, they'll give the Ember the respect ban as well, and they'll pick up the Zeus here, which makes enough sense. If you're going to go Zeus mid, you may as well get rid of that Ember. No, it doesn't even have to be a Zeus mid. That's the thing. You can still go back for the Batrider mid and just kind of run the Zeus support anyway. So very flexible already
10
for
seconds
Entity.
remaining.
Boom, how do they respond to this?
5 seconds remaining.
I'm not seeing a great way to handle the Zeus. The Nyx ban was pretty on point. It's going to be pretty annoying. Trying to catch out that Zeus. Burst damage is great. You could try for... If you're expecting Zeus mid, you could Void Spirit, but then you just flex the Batrider mid, and then suddenly you're not playing Dota 2 anymore. Because it's really not fun to have that matchup. I think no matter what happens, that is just not a lane that Void Spirit feels good in. So you have to watch for that potential here from Entity on Boom's end. They could... I don't know about that. They could try the Kotl mid, but Yopaj isn't really a big Kotl mid player. They'll go with a Pangolier instead. We did see a Pango solution to Zeus last time, and it kind of felt flat. You know, like you really need to be able to jump that back line down the line, prevent the Zeus from just standing around casting spells, and you have to have follow through from your supports. Now, with a tiny Warlock, there is a little bit more to play with on Boom in terms of following through. And you also
5
have your own
seconds
sustain coming
remaining.
out now with a Warlock as well. So you have some ways of staying alive here, stalling out the fight as Chen would do for Entity. The question now is really just Jackie's hero. They don't have last pick once more on Boom, so anything that is kiteable, counteractable, Entity will be able to get a good read and just adjust once more.
It certainly feels that way. Fourth pick up there for Entity. We'll see where they want to go with this. It does feel like they still need 2 cores on their side of things. It does feel like this should be a Zeus support coming out here for Entity. You never know, though. Again, very flexible kind of draft here from the Dire end of things. They should reveal a lot more with this fourth pickup, but they'll have a bit of a deeper think about it. See, not really wanting to go for a position 1 pickup yet.
Radiant team
Much rather
back.
see what Jackie's going to pick up for himself. Never mind, though. They are going to go into the Alchemist, and I suppose it's one of those POS 1s that doesn't really care what the enemy POS 1 is. He's just going to do what he does. Just farm up faster than anyone else and just take over the game throughout the mid-game. So Entity going after the Alch pick. And
10 seconds remaining.
to be fair, Jonathan, I suppose it's not a guaranteed position 1,
5
considering we have seen
seconds
quite a bit of
remaining.
POS 3 Alchemists coming out as well. Though I highly doubt that's going to be the case this game around, but you never really know.
Yeah, I mean, it could still be the offlane Alch. I
Dire
don't see any
team
major
ban.
threats yet from Boom. It just feels like a very solid Alch game regardless. Down the line, free Ags upgrades for basically all the heroes here is pretty good. Maybe the Chen not as much, but Zeus Batrider is going to enjoy Ags for free if you have room for it by, say, 35 minutes. That's when you start
10
pumping everyone
seconds
else with that.
remaining.
Boom, going to have to think really hard about that next pick
5
because
seconds remaining.
there are no clear answers for the Alchemist from Jackie's hero pool. You could, I don't know, you could try the Ursa again. It looks like a much better
Radiant
Ursa
team
game
ban.
because you don't have to deal with Bane. You know, you're not dealing with a Razor. Lasso is going to be annoying, but as long as you enrage, it's really not that bad. So an Ursa could be one way. I don't know. It's always a bit tough against the Alchemist.
10
I
seconds
guess something like a
remaining.
Slark also works. It gives you a nice way of dodging out, dispelling off a
5
lot of what the
seconds
Batrider wants to do
remaining.
as well. And the sustained game with Warlock, it's pretty obnoxious. You Shadow Dance, you get healed up by Warlock, you're actually never going to die. So Slark could kind of slot in here as well.
I just wonder if they really want to go back to that Ursa after that game one. I mean, it is one of the favorites of Jackie, of course, but it was a bit of a rough affair. Though I dare say it's a much better game for an Ursa than last game. I mean, that last game was just so much kiting happening against that Ursa. You are still up against Bat Rider, though, so yeah, you never know. They might not want to go down that route. Still more bans to come, though. Boom Esports. They got rid of the Bloodseeker. Maybe still assuming that there is a POS one that is to come for Entity. So again, it's still very open for a draft, and they'll even get rid of the Lycan, just making sure that they can't get outpaced by the drafted Entity. But I suppose, if to be fair, you still have... Well, I was going to say you still have options like the Visage, but never mind. That was actually first banned by Boom. Any other heroes that come to mind, perhaps for the offlane, that Entity could run here, John, to really just kind of outpace the side of Boom?
5 seconds remaining.
They could gun for a Brewmaster or Venomancer can actually kick up the pace here. It just allows them to really run fast. The Brewmaster maybe slightly less so. Venomancer emphasis is on that early to mid game. So that could be a hero they pick up. They've picked it up before as well. I don't think you really have room to pick up something like the CK that they have gone back to here on Entity. It doesn't look like the best way of slotting in. You are kind of lacking team fight. You could try for... I don't know if you really need team fight in the first place. It's like, you could go for the Mars, but it doesn't really feel necessary for Entity. Mars could kind of tie up for offlane if they will go for the Spartan. They will just go for the Ursa on Boom, as it is a much better game. So much more secure for Jackie. Shouldn't be having as many issues as he did in game one. No grip, no static link. So you are free to do what you want this time around. Entity... If they really wanted to, they have room for an offlane Razor for Toby. I don't know if you really want to repeat that. Again, your control is basically Lasso plus Unstable Concoction. That's pretty awkward. So I'm thinking you want something with more control in your offlane here for Entity, if it is going to be the safe lane out for Saberlight.
I certainly agree with you on that, but it must be tempting, though. Like, the Razor does feel like it does very well into the draft of Boom once again. It certainly does leave them without team fight, though. I do give you that, John. Like, you've got Lasso, you've got Unstable Concoction, and that's about it in terms of disable here for Entity if they did go down that route. But it does very well against the Ursa. I'm sure Entity are having a think about whether they really want to go down the Razor route here. And you also have heroes like Viper that are still available here for Entity if they wanted to run that. But no, they're going to go down the Veno route. Okay.
Yep. Just get aggressive, start to overwhelm them. Venomancer into Ursa is still pretty damn good. You still kite around the Ursa. So it's still not going to be a very swell time for Jackie if he cops the full complement coming out from Toby. And we've got to see Boom. Boom's got to find a way to make this draft work. Because I'm going to tell you straight up, Mike, I'm leaning towards Entity's draft. They've got early tempo. They've got this Alk to kind of help them scale into the late game if necessary. Probably not going to be necessary. Jackie has to shift his itemization. This is not a Battlefield game, for sure. You will not want to play a farming war up against the Alchemist. And they're going to have a rough time if Toby does manage to get a running start. We've seen Venomancers before hit an early Urn Spirit Vessel timing, hit an early Ags BKB with the Hood of Defiance. They can be very obnoxious into the mid game, especially since you don't have great burst on Boom. So Toby's going to have a lot of impact if you just allow him to do that.
So is there a particular timing that you feel like Entity just kind of takes over this game, John? Like, what can Boom do to try and counter out this draft of Entity, do you think?
Timing. I feel like Entity is going to be really, really, really good by 15 minutes is when they're really good. I'd say their lanes are actually really good as well. Like, right. There's nothing that looks bad about their lineup. Alchemist Chen lane, first 2 levels might be a little bit slower. Level 3 is going to kick up the pace. Venomancer Zeus lane is, that's a lot of magic damage to eat through. Skem's going to run out of mana healing up Jackie there. And he's not going to be able to play aggressive on his own end, kind of trying to shove them back. It's double range up against a melee Ursa, so you're always going to be able to zap away at Jackie, drop his HP low enough. Yopaj Pango, it's also like one of those things that we've seen Boom sometimes underutilize. So it's like whether or not Yopaj is like really in the zone. He was sort of in the zone on the Ember, but then he went too far into the zone and lost himself. He kind of needs to temper that in here. I mean, it just looks like such a great draft from Entity. Like, I know you and I aren't big fans of the Veno, but this is actually legitimately a good Veno game.
For battle.
It could be pretty rough. I do agree it is a very good Veno game, and I wonder what kind of itemization Toby does go for here, but we'll wait and see. Beautiful thing is as well, John, Saberlight on that off lane out could just end up going for the Ags build up for the Veno as well later on, if you did want. At whatever point, you can build up the Ags and just be very, very annoying as Tims. Going to be caught out already, but they don't have the greatest ways of locking him down. So he's going to be just fine to walk his way out. This Tims, he'll be just fine. Get back to the high ground of the Radiant Triangle. Entity, they still seem like they want to try and move their way up to that high ground. Very, very confident to try and make this happen at level 1. Boom, more than prepared for this, or are they? Stun is going to be there from Saberlight onto Tims. They'll catch him out anyway, but the rest of Boom, they are around to try and force his fight as the Axe. Or rather, the Avalanche is there on Katomi, but he'll heavily jump away and be just fine. Surprisingly enough, nobody actually ends up dying throughout that engagement. Everyone just fine to walk their way out. Maybe a few resets necessary, but that everything's going to be just fine for now. There's Saberlight, another stun to be channeled up. He has no target though. He'll stun himself instead. That won't matter too much. Still 2 bounty runes going the way of Entity, and they might even find a third. There's Katomi.
4 again.
Another 4. Well. That's a big concern here for Boom. Another great start here, as they are at least maybe going to find first blood. But there is going to be a quick disconnect out from Yopaj, it seems, as they do need a pause. But Katomi surely ends up dying here.
Yeah, he should. Heavenly Jump on a long cooldown. Level 1 jump is not really the most aggressive build you'd want in the Zeus. Normally you'd want that level 2 or 3. And they might have to give it to Scam with a Shadow Word, and they will. So he has to take the first blood just to ensure that they get it, but it compensates just a tad bit for losing 4 bounties. I don't think Entity minds, so like they are still gonna have a really good time. And you take a look at that lane as well down bot. It would feel a lot more annoying if you did have, say, Arc Lightning, but you do have some good aggression that can come out with Heavenly Jump and Gale. The slow is pretty annoying. You can just kind of chase down and right click, and again, it's double range up against an Ursa. So if you do actually isolate Jackie, it isn't too hard to run him down in the laning phase.
It certainly isn't. With those other lanes, though, we have a chance. Of course, mid lane, Yopaj and Stormstorm are going to be against each other here on the Batrider Pango matchup. Shouldn't really be favorable here for Yopaj and the Pango, right? Like, you should have an inherent advantage as the Batrider, but you do always have the swashbuckle away, so chances are Stormstormer may not have the easiest time trying to secure a kill here on the Pango.
Yeah, it's not really a heavy kill lane for either side. You have enough play to kind of threaten back, but it does still feel like a better Batrider lane in terms of the farm overall. You're just going to be able to keep building up. I guess Yopaj is fairly happy with his wand already, though. So he's just going to be able to keep spamming out the Swash and Shield Crash and just kind of farm that way. Going to be down to, again, supports. Tims on the Tiny might want to make some early plays happen, because you don't want to see that Batrider get a really quick travel time. That can be devastating.
And that it could. Stormstormer, he had a very good game, number 1, and looks like he might have another great game here. Still, top lane as well. Fishman on the Chen. Going to be there with Saberlight on that Pos 1 Alchemist, and you're going to have Tims and FBZ hanging around here on the DP and Tim and Tiny, though Saberlight. This cheeky double stun out here from Saberlight onto the duo of Boom Esports here in the off lane. Not too much pressure being applied for the Alk so far, but they are doing a very good job of just denying off enough creep so he doesn't feel too comfortable.
Just try to slow it down just a tad bit. A little bit slower for Sableye than I think he'd like, especially in comparison to Jackie. But Fishman's doing a good job. Courage creep was fairly annoying onto Tim's, and it does lose it now. But you're also not able to get aggressive here on Boom all too much for the kill off, although they will toss back that pesky Chen.
Yeah, they'll go for a siphon here on FBZ, but Fishman, he literally could not give a crap. He'll just fight back. Sableye was trying to move in to go for a stun, but could not get in range to find a target. So now Tim's, he might actually have an opportunity to toss back Fishman once again, and will do so back into FBZ. Fishman dropping very low and will go down. Boom. Able to clean up that Chen. Tim's just very persistent with the tossbacks. Does make it work in the end.
They are slowing down that outplane, which is really what you want to do. You don't want Saberlight to get that same farming pace he had in the last game. That was on the Bristle on the Alk. At the same time, would be devastating. Nice toss back again, but Saberlight is fairly tanky. Has a lot of HP with a Soul Ring up. Not going to be the easiest target to go for, but you're allowing FBZ to get a lot more out from that lane. Levels are going to build up. And if he is allowed to go for the phase boots into his quick Ult or BKB, that's when the DP can really shine, and hitting that early level 6-7 allows you to really get a very non-committal push and teamfight going your way here for Boom. So getting the foundations built up for Boom. Entity, it's not like they're lagging too far behind. As long as they manage to reel in control in their jungle, you've always got a good recovery plan set up for the Alchemist down the line.
Absolutely. Down to the spot lane, Toby and Katomi both dropping quite low here on the Veno and Zeus, but will be just fine to remain within the lane. Jackie having a much better time on the Ursa than he had last game around. Currently 24-5 on the Ursa. Identity trying to get a little bit aggressive here onto Skem, but the Gale will not end up connecting onto the Warlock, but rather just Jackie. So they will go for a bit of a chase here onto the Ursa. In fact, that's a lot of damage being popped out, and they've got him. You kind of talked about it, the Veno against Ursa during the laning stage. It's a bit of a slow ramp up here for Toby, but eventually he'll get the job done.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not something you really think about, but Heavenly Jump slow plus Gale slow, you're really not running away from that one. There's actually no helping that. So if Jackie oversteps farming and Skem isn't there to... I don't even think the Shadow Word's enough in that circumstance, but if Skem's not there to kind of cop at least one of the spells, you will fall. And that's what Entity has to do. Slow down Jackie as much as Boom is slowing down Saberlight, and you're going to be happy as long as they're kind of equal there, because Saberlight's going to be able to accelerate a lot faster.
It's one thing I never got about this this Zeus change, right, with Heavenly Jump. Like, you made him more mobile, which is nice, but then you added damage to that spell, plus 100% movement slow. For 2.5 seconds at max level, it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, why couldn't he just have the jump?
Yeah, I know. I don't know why. It was a silly thing at first too, right? It's like, it's a Mario jump. Hey, that's funny. And now, hey, he's jumping like Mario. I guess I die.
Oh, what can you do? It happens, John. It happens. Jackie, again, copping a Gale here down a bot lane is going to be just fine, though. Kind of earth shock his way out as Katomi now copying the Fatal Bonds, but is also going to be just fine. Very hard lane now, though, it seems, for Boom Esports out of this bot lane, because every time Jackie gets close to the creeps, he's just going to cop all this poison damage from Toby. At the very least, he does have Ring of Health, plus he has Skem giving him Shadow Word every 2 seconds, but it's still a pretty rough lane. Mid lane, Yopaj, he's going to go down, taken out by the Batrider, now top lane, FBZ dropping quite low himself, but not quite low enough to take him down. In fact, FBZ now going to turn right back onto Saberlight, trying to go after the Alchemist, but in the meantime, Jackie drops at the bot lane. You get Fishman on the Chen, but Boom, they lose their mid laner and their safe lane as Saberlight. He's still perfectly fine. In fact, never mind, he does get tossed back into FBZ, but they don't have the spells, I don't think. Avalanche is there, Saberlight. He'll stick charge, but eventually they'll barely get the job done. The final right click from FBZ proving to be just enough.
And it's starting to shape up. It does still feel like Entity's finding the better end of the trades here. Stormer gonna hit that quick timing on the travels that we talked about, stealing away some good stacks in that triangle. No defense coming out from Boom on that objective. And I'm surprised. Jackie is still going for battle. He is still wanting to play the farm game here. Up against the Elk, it's not a farm war you necessarily win, although it is Jackie. I believe we've seen him in one game with Elk versus Ursa where he did manage to get a running start with an early battle here, but he's not off to a running start here. He's kind of equal net worth to the Elk. Battle period, I just don't know about this, Mike. It's not the pickup that I'd expect, because usually Jackie adapts to like a defusal by the time he plays the second game of Ursa. Not the case this time around.
Certainly not. It could be a little bit of a rough affair as well. Like, you're playing against a Pos1 Alchemist. You know you're not going to be able to keep up in farm, and maybe it's just all about getting to the later stages of the game here for Boom. See how they get that done. Top lane, a bit of a group up here from Boom as they might try to focus down that top tier 1 tower. Exorcism is available for FBZ if he does want to commit. Meanwhile, a smoke across the map from Entity, but they are making their way up towards the top lane. Katomi and Stormstormer will make their move up top. Exorcism has been popped by FBZ, but the defense is incoming. They're going to run right into Yopaj here, but a quick swashbuckle out into the Rolling Thunder, but he does only pump fake. Cancels it off mid-animation. And that tier 1 tower, it's still relatively safe. FBZ, he'll move in for a little bit more here. Get more damage to be dealt, and it does seem like the Dire, they end up letting this tier 1 go eventually, or do they? Stormstormer, he's back with a double damage rune this time around. In fact, the tier 1 does remain standing. They couldn't get the job done in time.
Just not quite enough time on the Exo to get it cleared out. It is a lot of time from both sides, but on both sides are also starting to allow their safe laners to just get that build up.
He's gonna turn around here on Toby. He's had enough of this Venomancer. Yopaj, also the same, will with the Rolling Thunder secure the kill. Jack, I mean, he copped a lot of damage, but does end up surviving. I say that, John. Look at the man's HP pool just drop. Still ticking away. He will survive in the end.
It's one of the things for that Venomancer. The output is really big. Up top, though,
Yeah, Lasso. No hesitation from Stormstormer here onto FBZ, and they'll secure another. Just such valuable pickoffs being made by Entity. And Boom, they are still ahead in terms of kill score, but it does feel like Entity, they're finding much better pickoffs for themselves.
Yeah, and they're buying so much space for Saberlight. They're taking all these fights while the Alchemist is really just jungling. The Radiance for Saberlight's not going to take too long. And I legitimately don't know how you deal with that Alchemist in this game for Boom. Like, it doesn't feel like they have good answers here, Mike. No natural Spirit Vessel carrier, or at least no one building into that Spirit Vessel here just yet. Boom's end. Entity aren't quite able to play around the push aspect of their lineup yet, you know, with Chen and with Venomancer, not really focusing on the objectives. You don't really mind, though. As long as your Alc is farming, even if you trade a tier 1 or 2 on the side lanes, Saberlight still has enough room to just overwhelm on this hero.
On top lane, they do get the tier 1 tower. Scan is out onto Fishman. Boom, they are going to smoke up. It is only a Chen that they're running into, but Stormstormer, he does TP top lane. Much bigger kill if they want to try and go for that, but it doesn't seem like Boom are confident in their ability to take the Batrider down right now, so instead, it's on to the Chen once again. But Fishman, still running, looks to be just fine. Another swashbuckle out, another Crypt Swarm, but it's just not enough. In the meantime, Jackie bot lane could be in a spot of danger, but it doesn't seem like they'll be able to find him.
Backs off in the nick of time. His battle fear is almost done here on the Ursa. It's actually the point when he can start to try and equalize up against Saberlight's Alchemist, as long as he's given the necessary room to get that done. Doesn't look like Entity's willing to give him that space out here, though. Just constantly applying that pressure. And Boom, for all their camping in the top jungle, haven't really found anything for their efforts. They are clumping up for a little bit of a mid-shove in now. Their lineup, I mean, they've got the Exo ready for the push. It's their best tool in that circumstance, but Entity understands how important that mid is. They rotate everyone in.
Entity
Radiant
move in,
structures are fortified.
trying to protect the mid-tier 1 tower, and
Radiant's
for now,
bottom
Boom,
tower is under
not
attack.
committing that excess that we talked about, a Stormstormer. Thinking about trying for a lasso onto Yopaj, but he gets the illusion rune out and kind of jukes out with it. So they do protect the mid-tier 1, and like you mentioned, John, it's very
Radiant's
important for them to
bottom
protect this
tower is
mid-tier 1,
under
considering they do have the Alchemist and want to maintain control of their own jungle. On the side of Entity, Esports definitely need to find a way to commit for that mid-tier 1, but again, for now, it just doesn't feel like they're quite confident enough to move in, even with the DP ulti available. And speaking of that DP, John, they are coming around. Stormstormer, he'll go for the attempt onto FBZ as he tries to back his way out. Silence will be there, and that might just be enough, unless a Centaur. Oh, it's not going to make it in time. Meanwhile, down at bot lane, Saberlight. He's in a bit of trouble, but they could not secure the kill. In fact, now the turnaround is there on Yopaj. That'll be about it. Saberlight throwing out a stun, backing his way out, and he'll be happy with just surviving that initiation.
You just don't have the burst damage on hand from Boom to really melt them out from full to zero. So you're going to need to either drag more bodies or just hunt elsewhere. Because they're likely just going to be big no matter what.
Yopaj is around the corner. Poison Nova will be committed to Yopaj. Might need to back his way out as a stun. Does land on 2. They'll find Tim's. That'll be enough for Entity so far, though Stormstormer does show his face.
Radiant's top tower
Right,
is
a
under
bit of a
attack.
flame break there onto Yopaj, hoping it'll make him tick out, and he's just about to, in fact. Barely surviving. Oh, never mind, he doesn't. He does die to the poison sting.
Yeah, that DOT for Entity is just way too much. And we talked about what happens when you allow Venomancer to have a good start here, Mike. And Toby's off to a pretty strong start. Hood of Defiance up, Spirit Vessel next. We tend to see BKB Ags as the next pickup. And once those are done, well, that output just keeps staying high and high. And again, you've bought 1,000,000 miles for Saberlight to farm in. Radiance is already up and running on the Alki. So he's just going to be able to build up more and more in comparison to what
Radiant's bottom
Boom's
tower
able
is
to do
under
with a
attack.
Battle Fury and Jackie. They are clumping up around here on Boom. Going for the smoke play. Roll is ready. Golden Drop's ready. Just need a good target to take here.
What do they find? Smoke might be broken off the Batrider. That's a great target if they can find
Radiant's
it, but a
bottom
smoke is
tower
out from
is
Entity
under
now.
attack.
They have no idea Boom's right behind him, and to see the smoke being committed to Saberlight, he gets a chemical rate off in time. Can they burst him down? Not quite, it doesn't seem like it. They'll even drop the Golem, still trying onto the Alchemist, and they finally get him. No, he denies himself! Oh, he denies himself. Oh, no goal to go the way of Boom, and they'll even find FBZ. Entity, they'll keep chasing them down. Yopaj dropping so darn low on the Pango. Tim will try to help out his Pangolier. It will do so. In fact, Jackie does rotate now on the Ursa. He might be able to clean up. Already finding Katomi, and we'll move in on to Toby, who's still trying to fight this one out. Does end up going down, so Boom finding a successful team fight this time around. And bit of an unfortunate start there, John, having the Alchemist deny himself off, but ultimately in the end they'll still be happy with the way the fight went.
Is under attack.
It still works out mildly in their favor, not as much as you'd like, but you take what you can get right now if you are on Boom.
Gonna find Stormstormer. Hand of God is there, and Stormstormer actually trying to fight back here against him, and Yopaj, oh, he's dropping low. You can't underestimate how much damage that Firefly does with the sticky napalm, and Yopaj is still just trying to run out, but they should have the damage. Still the swashbuckle, it's not enough. FBZ does make his move in though, and they do clean up both supports of Entity.
We find a much better trade coming out here for Entity, of course, taking out a core and a support for their trouble on the two supports. They do bleed out the creep army onto Jackie, but they're probably not the biggest deal in the world gold-wise. And now they've got the DKB up and running on Stormer. So much easier to just jump in, get the lasso off, pull them back, take control of these fights at every single step. And for Boom, they have to play this far more, Mike. They itemized for Battle Fury on Jackie. They're going to have to try to just keep up the pace with Saberlight and kind of figure out an answer as to how you deal with his sustain in this game.
It, Speaking of Jackie going, he's right behind the Arc. I mean, he's not doing too bad considering. Because the Battle Fury, in some sense, does feel like it might just pay off here. The Alchemist just not anywhere near far enough, I feel, to, really make the pick feel worthwhile quite yet. Roshan is open. Boom, they are hanging around the Roshan pit as we speak. Fishman, he's going to be around in the tent. We'll be able to scout all of this out. Back the rest of Boom are incoming. The Chen is going to be scouted here by Jackie. The immediate jump in is there. They'll take down Fishman. Do you want to try and force Roshan out of this?
Radiant's courier has been killed.
I think you've got a really good angle to come in. Entity though, they've still got the pressure PKG of Stormer. They've still got the lasso, so there are still good angles here.
Lasso onto the Pango, a great way to start this counter fight, and they've got him. Yopaj already down, and with that, Boom Esports, they could not continue for the Roche. They'll have to let it go for now. Entity just finding pick-off after pick-off here during this game number 2. Still a 4K advantage their way. Mind you, all of that is basically on their Alchemist. But nevertheless, they still have that net worth advantage. As long as they can stop Boom from taking this Roshan, they should be in a very, very nice position this game number 2. Though we are going to have a quick pause in this game number 2 here, as it seems like Entity's having a few connection issues. Still, John, I mean, going back to the Ursa, you commented on the Battle Fury, but I mean, Jackie is keeping up, right? Like, he's only 2K behind the Alchemist right now, which is a pretty good deal, I think, for Boom Esports here. What are you thinking about it?
I don't know if you really want to be keeping up, though. That's the thing. Like, because you're never going to be at the same level of Alk's farm until it's a late game when gold doesn't matter, and the Alk starts feeding away slots with the Ag's Blessing. So I still feel like, I mean, maybe if they drag the game for 40 more minutes, that's where the Battle Fury can shine. But if we're talking about the immediate game now, from 20-minute mark till even just the 40 minute mark, it's tougher. So I don't know, like they have to stall the game to really get the investment back on that Battle Fury, and I just don't think Saberlight's gonna be allowing them to wait around like that. I mean, this Alk is pretty much battle ready already, just with a Blink Radiance down the line. I do believe he's got his BKB flying out now, so there's some more protection here for Saberlight in the middle of these fights as well. And remember, even if the Alk stops, scaling in terms of items because he's fully slotted up, he can gift a lot of impactful Ags towards the side of Entity. Free Nimbus out for Kataomi for the +5 Zeus or the +4 Zeus that can be massive in the middle of these fights. The Chen Strong Dispel can cancel off a lot of control that Boom will want to use as well. So you still have some scaling outside of the Alk here, even though it's mainly utility onto your support as well.
Go again. Game number 2 back underway. Bit of a slower period now throughout this game too. Looks like they've got to try and maybe get something done before the BKB is up on Jackie though. Entity just kind of putting their faith in the Alchemist, allowing Saberlight to do what he needs to do and get that farm up. That Alk farm with the Radiance certainly escalating quite a bit for Boom. We'll start Roshan once again. They're going to try and force Entity to come back and try to counter this. They will have the vision with the Plague Wards, but Boom, they aren't going to back off for now. They're feeling rather confident to try and go for this early on. And we are going to have a very unfortunate pause here, as there is a smoke, but there was a crash happening. Stormstormer just crashing out of the game. This is a very unfortunate position, though. Just look at the smoke. Look how close they are right now. In fact, Stormstormer, he does have his smoke broken to make matters even worse.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit of an awkward fight. Does Boom have vision? They don't. They saw the smoke. Looks like they managed to get glimpse of that smoke on the bottom part of the stairs. The X marks are coming out from FBZ, so they've got an idea. But you still have some play here, depending on what NCT will want to do. One of the awkward things with these kinds of pauses, right, Mike? Like, if it goes long enough, you might forget what you wanted to do, and suddenly the game plan when you come back in is just completely different. So we'll see. On the land setting, that shouldn't be as bad of an issue.
Well, on the brighter side for Entity, John, they are within the fog right now, so I don't believe they've been spotted quite yet, which is very lucky for Entity considering the circumstances.
There's a little blip of vision from Boom there. They just smoked right now, right? On the ramp. There was a little bit of vision there from Boom. I don't know how. Probably from... Is that FBZ on the cliff or Skem? They have a little bit of vision somehow. So they did see the smoke, and again, FBZ did X mark on the area with a ping. Tim's now X marking as well. So they know something's up.
How this pans out, John. Well, Stormer, he'll reconnect. He knows he's not smoked at the moment. Give the sec. Do you just rush into the Roshan pit? It feels like that's the only way right now. You either commit or you retreat. Entity, I think they might just commit as things do come out. Jackie, he gets backed by Roshan. Still trying to go for this with the golem drop. It's perfect from Stem. Is it going to be enough though? They've already got Fishman down. Roshan still dropping as Jackie's going to try and take the H with Saberline. He's the one to take it on the Alchemist. He'll take down Jackie on the Ursa, and he might lose that first life. But it seems to be a bit of a team fight win anyway. To the side of Boom Esports. They lose the Alchemist, rather the Aegis and the Roshan, but they still end up winning out the team fight.
Yeah, they make it work their way. Tim's just managing to intercept in the top part of the Roche pit, disrupts that fight, and Boom manages to actually work the angles this time around. And not quite as clean as they'd want. You lose Jackie once more. Probably not the result you wanted there, but they've got the angle onto the tier 1 mid. There's still a 4K lead for Entity. And that is with the Alk, and that isn't as bad as it looks any longer, because that is just the one hero building up. As we do have more problems, so we will have a pause.
Well, let's have a look at the fight again, the Roshan fight, of course. I believe we do have a replay to look at here and see how everything panned out, because there was a lot of chaos that ended up happening in that Roshan pit. So let's have a look here. As Jan pours out, Jackie, he was trying to go after Roshan, but gets bashed at a very unfortunate time. Nevertheless, I love this golem drop here from Skem, and I think that was the real game changer here, Jonathan. And FBZ, just able to do whatever he wants in this Roshan pit, just nobody focusing him down. And that's how he ends up just getting a triple kill for himself.
Yeah, the DP BKB just... the BKB is actually just ruin what Entity want to do, right? Venomancer starts to lose its potency. Even the Bat Rider doesn't enjoy dealing with that, even though he has the lasso. It's only on one target. Your magic damage kind of disappears. And the Zeus, of course, doesn't get to poke away at you with his spells. So he just stands there, gets it done. There was a nice cheeky little play coming out from Fishman. He did manage to get a push with the Wild Wing Ripper Creep, kind of pushing Jackie out of the pit, but that might actually have saved his life, or at least allowed him to get a little bit more damage in on his return because of the stall out from Skem that you pointed out there, Mike. So a lot of back and forth, and it's just, it's a byproduct of just pausing at that exact moment. Boom had enough time to process what they might have seen on the map as a little blip. Tim's just runs right up, breaks the smoke from the upper angle, and suddenly you're fighting a fight on almost like two fronts there.
Absolutely. For anyone's game here, but it does feel like Boom is slowly clawing their way back into this one. Still, Dota Plus is sitting at 59% the way of Entity, so you still have that inherent advantage for them, but the way this game is going, it certainly feels like Boom are slowly creeping their way back into it. That's for sure. Mind you, a very nice Aegis still for Saberline, just kind of rushing in and hoping for the best, just outclicking everyone else in the Roshan pit, that last team fight. Hopefully these issues from Entity get resolved rather soon. I believe we were hearing earlier, it's like 40 degrees in Arlington right now, apparently, John.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice weather. Celsius, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, not Fahrenheit, Celsius.
What's that in the American units? I want to say 100 because that sounds hot. I don't know what Fahrenheit is. 98, 100. I really don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to start an argument, but I don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
You could have Googled it, Jonathan. If you really want to know. No?
I'm a
That's not
consummate professional, Mike. I do not change tabs while casting. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. As you do get the unpause. Hopefully the sound issues are fixed.
It's me, John.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Still, I mean, 3K advantage. State of the game is 13-11. Entity are still leading, and never mind. We still have issues.
Right.
Going back to this Fahrenheit argument, Jonathan, I'm with you. I don't understand why everything has to be different in the land of NA. You know, I love the country, but why are we using Fahrenheit? Why are we using feet and all the rest of the ridiculous measurements? It's crazy, Jonathan. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I've heard arguments. People say, "Oh, Fahrenheit just it's true to what you feel in your body." I'm like, that doesn't make sense because your sensation of heat depends on your preferences. So it's a relative scale that you're putting on absolutes. Celsius
How much have you
is.
thought about this?
I've thought about it a lot. You know, metric is perfect. 0 water freezes, 100 water boils. Phase change.
Right.
Perfect. Right? That's all we need. You know, it makes perfect sense. Funny enough, in the Philippines, we do use feet inches for height.
What?
I don't know why. Because the Americans were, they colonized us for like 20 years or something.
Right.
I forget. 20 years, 50 years, I forget. Something like that. And the Japanese were there in the middle. But yeah, we use feet inches for people height, but then we measure our weight in kilograms as far as I know. No, some people, no, we also do it in pounds as well. That's a bit mixed. But then we measure our temperature on Celsius. So we're really confused because of all those years, Mikey. We don't really know what we want anymore here.
That's all right, John. Do I dare ask how tall you are in feet and inches? Do you want to answer that question, John?
You don't. Above average for Filipino height. Make with that what you will. I am not joking, though. I am above average Filipino.
What?
Yeah, we are. Do you want me to say it, Mike? We're not that tall. Are you happy now? Huh?
Oh, don't get defensive, John. I'm not that tall either. FPC, he's going to get dumped here on the Death Prophet. We'll go down very, very quickly. Is that a BKB pop by FPC? I believe it was. What do you do?
Not much. It's a charge down. 7 seconds. Still enough time for you to make your play in the middle. Although, again, that last Roche fight was off the back of his longer duration BKB. So as it shrinks down, you're giving more openings for Entity to get back to spamming their spells and whittling you away with advantage. Still a 4K lead for Entity, as you pointed out there, Mike. I don't know. Boom still has a lot to do in this game, right? Like it's still not a very comfy game for them because Entity, it just feels like they still have this key timing around them. They're still having Saberlight build Entity Assault next, and once he has that up, he can be able to, just do what he wants. He's going to be a lot hard to burst down for Jackie. Jackie, for his part, going into the BKB. So mitigating that output once more on all the magic coming through from Entity. I think, well, there's that blink I was about to say, but Stormer with a blink should allow them to just immediately jump key target, take away the Pango, or take away the Ursa before the Enrage comes out, and they will choose to reveal this with a smoke bike.
Here we go. Entity. So up. Blink is available for Stormer, and they're going to find FPZ in the mid lane. Make the jump. Yeah, they can. Lasso out immediately. Yo Plush thinking about helping with the Rolling Thunder, but doesn't bother. They just burst out FPZ way too quick. It'll allow them to move into that mid tier 1 tower. No problems here for Entity. 5K advantage now, and Boom Esports is still thinking about going for a defense, but it's looking rather challenging. They'll go for a Rolling Thunder. They'll try to move in onto the outpost for Saberlight. He's got the BKB up. In fact, they're going to move in. A double stun out from Saberlight. They'll drop the golem from Skem, but is it going to be enough? Toby, he'll be targeted by Jackie and does go down. Maybe Boom can do this. They'll keep the chase going. Fishman in trouble. Meanwhile, Jackie, though, being chased down by Stormer. He's in pretty big trouble here against the Spat Rider. He'll try to jump away with the Flame Break. It's going to connect. They've got Jackie down once again. Still not too bad of a team fight for Boom. I believe that might have been a 2-for-3 trade in favor of Boom Esports.
Yeah, a little bit of a back and forth. It does sort of work out for Boom. It's just pretty scrappy for them to win fights out like this. It's not enough to really swing the game completely their way. Entity still has a lot of play left in them because of how these trades are going. Although it does provide some openings for Boom. If they manage to get an objective off the back of these pickoffs, that's when things start to balance out a little bit more, but respawns are still fairly short ones, so they don't really have that much time to fully commit onto the objectives. They are clumping around top though. They have exorcism ready on FPZ if they want to really commit, but it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that just yet. So they're going to take it easy, keep that build up going, and the big issue for Boom is that, I mean, Jackie is going back into the Scotty. Very nice against the against the Alchemist, at least. A long way to go.
Boy. Punch. Oh, he cancelled off the Rolling Thunder and Stormstormer. Just no hesitation. Goes right for the last one to kills the kill. Wanted to save that ulti, but it ends up costing him.
Yeah, and it's almost reflective of the mistakes we saw from game one, where just a little bit of overconfidence, kind of fighting Yopaj there. Figures he can get away without using the roll, still under vision, gets jumped, gets punished, and Entity just dragged the lead back their way once more. 6k lead building back up. More.
Dimsa, he's going to be alright. They won't have a way to cancel the TP this time around. Storm obviously just committing the lasso for Yopaj. He's finding the Tiny. Still 16 to 15, 6k advantage the way of Entity. Again, Boom Esports nowhere near out of this game yet, but every team fight that goes by, it just looks more rough and rough here for Boom. That being said, they did kind of pull out a victory in that last one, so, maybe I'm kind of wrong in what I'm saying here, John. Maybe it's just all about delaying enough so that this Ursa is going to become a problem against the Alchemist, and well, you did just point out the fact that the Eye of Skadi is being built up now, and that's certainly a great timing here for Jackie. Once he does have that up against the Alpha. But now, though, they are going to go for a bit of a smoke up. And is there onto the Bat Rider, but Stormstormer, not the easiest to catch out. Still, the Avalanche toss, it might just be enough, but no, the Hand of God is there. Stormstormer, Golem drop will be enough to lock him down and take him up, and here comes Saberlight. He's already got Skep down. Onto FBZ they go. The Death Prophet, can he survive through it? It does seem like he can for now as Yopaj holds everyone else back with the Rolling Thunder, but needs to get out himself. Able to do so, but Katomi on the chase may have actually found him, but Yopaj will blink towards the east. He'll be fine as Tim. He'll make the jump right back in. Avalanche toss is there. Katomi's down. So is Toby. Fishman trying to fight back, but the Golem is going to take him out of the chen. As Saberlight is the only survivor left for Entity. A 2-for-4 trade the way of Boom Esports is some fantastic news for this Radiant team.
And it's definitely what they needed, probably one of the clearer wins they've had in quite some time. Even from the Roche bit, that where there's a lot more back and forth in their favor. This is probably, again, starting to show us how much Jackie can do when the team fight does break out their way. Great Golem coming out this time from Scam to help pull down, and Jackie just finds a good angle in. They're not really able to burn through the Ursa this time around with all their magic damage. They're not able to kite him around there. So we'll have to see if Boom can be consistent in pulling that off, though.
We could have a look at this replay coming up here, John, for that previous team fight. So Yopaj with a cheeky blink out, and it's kind of funny how the poor old Chen just trying to deal with this damn Golem as they do get jumped here from Tim's. And look at this, Fishman, he's just getting hit away. He's trying to focus down Jackie, but this Golem just won't leave him.
Yeah. It's a big, angry monkey, Mike. You don't want to... It's not going to be civil with you. Just wants you gone in its enclosure. Fishman, it's all right. He still managed to help his team out well enough. Is working onto his Wraith pack, so damage mitigation can be big now in the middle of these fights. Full AC up for Saberlight going into the Basher Abyssal. So it's going to be even tougher for Jack to kind of hold its ground there. And I think that's still a major concern for Jackie. He does switch away from the Scotty, going for the Satanic instead. So just looking to sustain through in the middle, not worrying about the sustain coming out on the Alk still.
Easy. To be okay. have the whole side of Entity around that area, but they are making their way over now. Roshan is up. Very, very important for either side to be able to secure this as the smoke is out from Boom, but they did see that on the side of Entity. Very well aware that Boom is smoked up right now as Boom. They'll try to wrap around the long way, but it's going to be rather hard getting onto that high ground of the Dire jungle. Now they want to try and initiate a Stormer. In the tree line, is prepared to break the smoke, but it shouldn't cost him his own life to make that happen. He will try to bait for his team, but it's going to be a counter smoke now. Entity. Western side of this mid lane. Very patient, waiting for Boom to show themselves as Yopaj is going to be there. Stormer, not going to be able to get the lasso yet. The roll-up will save the day for Yopaj, and that'll be enough. Get back is there. Entity not happy with the initiation attempt, and we'll wait for another day for this one. H-Room though is picked up. EKB out, Stormer, Voodoo lasso up. Golem drop is there. Skem trying to set up as the lasso is out on Jackie, but the enrage is already out, so the duration just was not long enough. Yopaj will roll around the team fight. A big avalanche out from Thames into the Alchemist. They've got Saberlight. He'll go down. That's a massive loss for Entity. There's now Katomi in trouble, but in the meantime, Jackie does end up going down to Toby, and now FBZ still ends up dropping. But the thing is, John, you start off with a great kickoff on the Alchemist, but it just falls apart straight after.
Yep, they just aren't able to sustain true that output coming out from Entity once BKB's fade. I mean, it's the same story. It's still a Venomancer, it's still Zeus, they can just whittle away at you. And now Roach number 2 is going to go with the wave. Entity 21 to 21, a 7k lead standing for Entity. Relatively even, as most of that gold again is heavily into Saberlight, but there is enough distribution that you feel pretty good here on NTT with everyone else. So, you know, you've got a lot lined up now for Entity in terms of getting that build up. Bash already up for Saberlight. Lutive Bearing up for Toby along with Assange. Would love to see if he manages to get something like the Ags here in this game, or again if Saberlight's going to be the generous benefactor gifting everyone Ags. It doesn't look like he will be, because Kataomi buys his own. Still, you do kind of want that Nimbus early here. But we're reaching that point where, again, as the game scales on late, sure, the Alchemist becomes less and less of an issue. But it feels like everyone else becomes that issue, Mike. Because you've always got Lasso to go through BKB. BKBs are now 6 seconds. So Venomancer has an angle in. It's not that cut and dry for Boom to say that, alright, our Ursa late game is going to be winning us this game. It's not. There's still a lot of tools Entity can play with.
It's still a very close matchup here, John, that's for sure. Entity, though, 9k advantage is Boom. They're going to smoke up once again. Titanic is up on the Ursa. With Saberlight just so farmed up now on the Alchemist. Was 5k ahead of that Pos 1 Ursa. Boom, they will make their way into that Dire triangle, but nobody's going to be around, so they'll try to make this place home for a while. But having a space to farm in right now if you are Boom. The Godrat, though, going to get plenty of vision as Stormer. Immediate jump in, but the Aeon Disc. Yopaj, prepared this time around for the lasso, is going to be able to make his way out. So lasso down for a little bit here for Stormer. Entity, they may not want to fight without it. I just chill out and a bit more time here for Saberlight to keep that farm going. It just doesn't feel like they're in any sort of rush to force a fight against Boom. They'll just chill for now. You have so much scaling to go as well. I mean, you haven't even seen any Ags coming out yet from the Alp.
Yep, not gifting anyone just yet. Taomi just buys his own. Nimbus can kind of stall out this pushback with commitment now on the side of Entity. We'll find our bot tier 2 here. At least so Jackie will have cleared out at least one objective in that time span since we last went to the pit. Entity kind of checking near that pit as well, but it's still a ways off. 5 minutes until we see the timer up and running. And for Boom at this point, it becomes tougher and tougher to see what they can do. Like, it feels like you're going to be reliant on just getting swash stuns from Yopaj. Like, you can roll in. Maybe if he gets his Ags up, that kind of helps as well in trying to proc those stuns, but it's just not a reliable way to count in this game. And Entity will go for their smoke play now.
Go. Radiant triangle. Oh, Jackie. Might be left behind. The Blink's on cooldown right now. John the lasso. It's going to land. They've got the Ursa. They'll take him out. Oh, the Blink was on cooldown. Stormstormer. He wants a little bit more out of this, but he'll find nothing. Nevertheless, top towers are still there to be taken here by the side of Entity, and that they will do. Boom. They might just have to sit back and relax for a while, John. They won't want to force a buyback here for Jackie for another 70, and they can't really force the fight without the Ursa either. The map is once again the side of Entity.
Radiant's top tower
Yep,
is under
they shrink it
attack.
all the way down. They get control in the triangle. They've got a really good setup for the next rush in around about 15 minutes, although.
Stormstormer. Could be in a spot of danger here, John. He's completely kind of surrounded here by these Boom Esports players, but he's the one turning around going for the fight. Boom, they just don't feel confident in going after this Batrider. Even if he is completely alone, his team are making their way over to try and help out. Trying to catch somebody off. The Stormstormer still moving forward. FBZ trying to punish him back. The Batrider just no fear. With that Firefly bonus movement speed, he just keeps going. And keep in mind, he does have that secondary life anyway.
Bull has about 10 seconds left on the Aegis photo.
Yeah, Marshall trying to make the jump in, but can they time this perfectly is the question. They won't need to anyway. Stormstormer, he'll back off and go for the reset with the Aegis.
Radiant's middle tower is
We'll
under
just
attack.
TP right back towards the fountain. For the rest of Boom, we'll have their pos one back now, but they are in dire straits at the moment, John. 15k behind. Well, even our Batrider's overtaking everyone else on the map from Boom, and it's a very tough position to try and come back from if you are Boom Esports.
Yeah, it's just, again, sort of reminiscent of Game 1 with the draft Entity has. Once they're ahead, it's very hard to slow down that momentum coming out from Entity, so I'm gonna have to see what they can do is smoke out from Boom, though. See if they find something.
Around. Going for a very long wrap around, trying to get through back into that Radiant jungle, but
Dire are scanning.
Obi, he's going to be in position to break the smoke. Plague Lord will give some vision as well, so he'll try to make a run for it for now and reposition. They will be able to stun him up, and Jackie makes the jump in, but the Poison Nova is already there. Now Saberline and the lasso holding down FBZ on the Death Prophet. What are they getting done though? Entity still moving forward onto Jackie this time around. The Ursa needs to be very careful, but will Life bring his way up for now? He's just fine. We'll chase more targets down, but who are we really aiming? Onto the Batrider once again. Stormstormer still just kind of unkillable, but they do make the jump in and eventually find the kill thanks to the fear of FBZ. With that, Entity, they do not want part of this team fight any longer. They'll try to back their way out. Saberline, however, has been left behind on the Arc. You'll have to run the old-fashioned way. Jackie right on top of him this time around. We'll take care of it. And boom, a 4-man wipe to the side of Entity. It felt like a team fight they shouldn't have won, but they make it work somehow.
Yeah, they got an opportunity now to cleanly take a tier 2, start to pressure onto the tier 3, maybe look to force up a couple of buybacks as well. And if Boom gets lucky, it could also lead them to a bit of an early rush if that respawn timer is in their favor. So we'll see. Entity, no, not able to really work that fight themselves this time. They do work the angle on Boom's end. And the high ground, not going to take too long when you've got the Ursa up. You should be able to pull to at least, again, one lane of racks. Fortify is there to at least slow, but they're not buying back for this.
They picked the board, John. There was a ping on the tier 4 towers. More pings flying out as Yopaj, he thought about it, but they are going to settle for that mid-racks. Not opting to try and force buybacks here from Entity. One lane of barracks down here and boom. It suddenly, you look at that craft, Jonathan, and it just shoots right back up the way of Boom. And suddenly they are the
Dire's
ones
top
in
tower
control of this
is
game
under
number 2.
attack.
Yeah, they work a good fight. That's all they needed. Unfortunately for Boom, Roshan is a bit of a longer timer, 2 minutes 50 seconds. So a little bit more patience necessary for Boom before they can head into that next objective to secure their high ground. That should give Entity time to scout that out. And there are also no slouches at the Roche pit. So they've got a lot that they could do with this deposit here in Singapore. And it is about that time in the game now where we are seeing Saberlight queue up the Ags. So time to synthesize Ags. Again, you already have one on the Zeus. You probably will just give one to Toby on the Veno. Or if you really feel like the Strong Dispel is worthwhile here, the Chen. I don't think it is necessarily worthwhile here in this office right now. This should be just the sterilization coming out. But,
Toby, move forward here, John. The Roshan pit for now, but Roshan down for another 2 minutes as Yopaj going to move right in. That's a big rolling thunder. He's caught the Batrider again. Terrible news here for Entity. He's now going to lose him straight off the bat with the buyback. Is out. They're going to keep this fight going. Toby about to drop with the Venomancer. They do at least find Skim on the Warlock, but now Fishman and Katomi dropping rather low on the side of Entity, but the lasso. Stormstormer, he's got the Ursa. Jackie's going to drop. No buyback available on him as FBZ. Just trapped between a rock and a hard place, trying to keep this fight going on his own. But he is going to drop. Entity, it was a terrible start to the team fight for him. But off the buyback of the Batrider, they are able to turn this one back around. And suddenly Boom have 3 heroes down without buyback.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really tough fight for them because Roshan is going to spawn right before they respawn. Entity has a really clear shot into going into that pit, securing an Aegis, potentially forcing the high ground, and evening out the game a little bit more. Evening out the map state, take a set of racks, maybe even 2, depending how fast they do it with the Alchemist on their side. And Boom kind of slip up just a bit. They still have to play it safe for the most part. There's still, again, a lot of power on Entity. It's never been gone. Boom's just been able to find ways to go around it. And we do have enough gold for Saberlight to actually buy out one of the Ags now. Let's see what they opt for when they do start to give that away. As there's arguments to be made for the Chen and Venomancer. But you might actually prefer to give it to Stormstormer. Right? Like the double lasso is probably your best bet. Just drag multiple heroes back, clean up the fights, and just kind of gun from there. We'll see. You have all the time in the world here to choose as Roche is up. It also has a free Ags. So, hey, you might not even need to buy one in Saberlight if you don't want to.
Certainly not. Roshan's going to go down very fast here. Side of Entity. There you go. Ags up. Stormstormer. He'll take it for himself. So now you do have that double lasso going on. In fact, never mind. They'll hand it to Toby. Poison Nova upgrade, it's a lot of damage. We've seen this before. You kind of underestimate how much damage it deals now with that 4.5% max HP removal. It's tough. They're still smoked up though. Still hanging around that dire triangle. Maybe able to get a surprise initiation onto Entity if they try. Stormstormer, he'll just rush forward. He's going to lasso straight onto Tibbs. They'll at least find themselves a tiny here, and they will. No problem. That's the Boom immediately just retreating after seeing that. And well, Tim's no buyback available, but he probably won't need it for now anyway.
Yeah, Entity's just kind of playing their side of the map. They're still just getting that build up, not in a rush. They've got 17k lead on their side now, and they've even got the refresh up on Kataumi. So a lot more options for the bursting damage. BKBs are just so short now on everyone's end. And that does play in favor of Entity at the moment. Wondering what else they could really gun for. Like maybe it's time to start to consider further development for Tim's. Kind of go as a sort of semi-core. Because they're pretty much slotted up in Jackie. Outside of his own Swift Blink, there's not too much room there. Maybe a synthesized Ags could help. There's that refresh out for Stormer to clear out the bot tier 2 as well. And things can get pretty spicy now, with at least No, not quad lasso without the Ags, but double lasso is still here, Mike.
That it is. That it is, John. Boom. You're not out of this game yet. But we're probably back in the way of Entity by 78%. It's a very back and forth game. Stormer. Radiant Triangle. It's going to be just fine. Esports not willing to try and make the jump in without that pause for Tiny available. Really missing out on the info on Katomi as well. Katomi very aggressive with his positioning. He's just fine. Stormer trying to find himself a target, but won't find anyone from Boom as they avoid and run towards the west. They'll hold on to this 21k net worth lead, but still one rack's down. Maybe they just wait for the Moonshard build-up on Saberlight first before they want to keep this going.
Have both for it with, well, not with buyback, unfortunately. So just keep playing it safe. And yeah, they've got time to spare here on Entity. They know that as they've got control of the map, Boom's not going to be able to work their economy as well. So you just kind of relax, do some creeps, get that build up, get all nutritioned up as you just keep building up. You don't want to slow.
Avalanche toss is out. They've got the Batrider for now, but Stormer, he's got a lasso right onto the Ursa. Jackie, he got the arrange up in time, though, as now they'll force the team fight, but Jackie and Tim's dropping way too low, and now another lasso. He catches the Ursa a second time. Saberlight is there with the follow-up for Jackie. He'll stay panic, he'll heal up, he'll keep trying, but he hasn't got enough. He's melting too fast. Jackie's gone. Saberlight, though, in big trouble himself. The outpost is also going to drop. Neither carry buying back yet. Team fight does continue. FBZ, he might be able to clean up with Stormer. He might also clean up here. He's onto Yopaj, but no, the disarms are there onto the Batrider. It won't matter though. They'll get the job done in the end. 3-for-1 trade in the favor of Entity once again. In Esports, trying their absolute hardest, but I'll tell you what, John, this Batrider, he's just making it so darn hard.
He really is. Like, Tim's gets a good angle to blink in, gets a toss out, but just ends up being a lasso opportunity on Jackie, and the refresh is just doing a ton of work. He just double lasso is insanity, along with the Octarine, lower cooldown on the lasso, lower cooldown on the Firefly, very high uptime for the Batrider to get that aggression out. And Boom can't afford to be too hasty. I get that they're getting a bit trigger happy. They want to make something happen on the map. They know they're still behind. But you can't afford to make it that risky. You need to ensure that when you do jump in, you find that kill and you watch for Entity's response.
Let's jump in from Yopaj. Got the Chen at the least. Problem is, Stormer, he's right in once again. They'll anticipate him up and try to put a hold to his positioning as Skep. He's going to get caught on the Warlock. They'll find something. Ag's now up as well on the Gen, by the way. Yopaj will be able to back his way out, and Entity they will do the exact same, it seems.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Saberlight, he is back up, and he can just BOT's right towards this top lane. Stormer. Off that Firefly again, ready to jump whenever.
Radiant's top tower.
Pressure all back up in 15, and now the jump is there onto the Tiny. They've happily loaded him up, so he does lasso himself, but it won't matter too much to the Tiny. He's dropping, but Stormer, he's dropping lower. He'll go down. Saberlight now, a bit of a sitting duck in this Radiant faces Jackie. Should have his way with him, but can they deal with the Alchemist? It does seem like they can. Eventually, they'll take him down. As Boom Esports, they'll keep fighting back here against Entity. On to Fishman they go. That'll be the Chen gone as well. Obi trapped in the tree line right now between FBZ and Tim's. Should be the fourth target to go down for Entity. And will go down eventually as an Ultra Kill will be handed the way of Jackie. Buybacks are there from Entity, but this could be a very rough defense now, John. Boom. They should realize there's a couple heroes down without buyback here for Entity. And it might be a matter of just going straight through mid.
Yeah, it looks like they've got that same idea here, Mike. Just gun for the end play. Very long for the respawn on Toby. There is a buyback ready on Saberlight, but it might still be enough. It does feel like you really want that poison over damage to help you out in the middle of these engages. And boom. Yeah, try to go for the end here. Maybe catch someone else out first. There is still an angle from NC with smoke.
Well, that's so Tim. He does get caught for Boom. They're all there to try and help out if they've got that Bat Rider. It could be a time back to Stormstormer, but the refresh is there on FBZ once again. They've got the Death Prophet down already. No buyback available for FBZ, and somehow, once again, this Bat Rider puts an end to all the push attempts coming in from Boom. Pretty much single-handedly. The Stormstormer does it himself.
Yeah, just finds a target, grabs him back, and then we're just back at equilibrium here, Mike. So maybe again, wait for the next Roshan. 20 seconds away. That should have a full complement once more. And both sides probably going to want to have it, Mike. Does look like Entity should be a little bit closer to pit. Gone for that Roche. Stockpile on the cheese as well, so you have more sustain in the middle of these fights. As we approach 50 minutes in, Mike. So we're inching towards the time that we never meet when we mention. I forget what time that is.
Well, you best not say it, John, if you want to see it. 10 minutes away. 10 minutes away. If it happens. But has there been any 60-minute plus games in the Major yet? I can't remember seeing one. But I could be wrong, considering there's so many games going on at the same time.
I want to say we had a pretty long game on our first day, but I forget. It's all a blur mix.
Right.
I can't tell what's real and what's not real anymore. It's all very blurry. I'm actually not sure what day it is.
All right.
So, that's where we are, Mike.
Fantastic. Entity. Find a nice little regen room, but just leave it. Nobody needs it. Did you want to try and for a nice fight into the high ground, I think, and it could just be game. There's only 2 buybacks on the map right now. One being for Jackie, the other being for Katomi. With not many buybacks available for either side. Roshan, it'll be back up in 30. Big objective to take for either team. Boom Esports. Really got to try and make sure that it does not go the way of Entity. I suppose it's same kind of situation for both sides now, as next Roshan could just be game defining both these teams. 10 seconds left for that one.
Inching closer, and again, you have a pretty good angle to take that here on Entity. So, should be able to get it, but it does look like they really want to kill first. They want to be able to ensure they've got a clear angle to take the Roche uncontested. We've got a refresh up now on Yopash. Double roll is there, double whistle could be pretty nice as well in terms of the cold toolkit, and could allow the Entity to play a little bit better here as well. But patience from both sides here, Mike. Don't want to take the risks. Boom wants a tie, and Entity wants a clean win.
Toby does get out the Roche, but nobody's starting it quite yet. Double damage rune down at the bot rune spot though, John. The classic before the Roshan pit. The team though picking it up quite yet, but Saberlight, he's going to move right in. Boom had no vision over that bot rune, so they had no idea it was picked up. Now with that double damage, Saberlight should feel very confident to try and move into that Roshan pit. Still very scary against Boom, especially considering you are playing against that Warlock with the Fatal Bonds and the Golem drop, but for now, they'll get started. Boom, they'll get the vision over the pit. Yopash will make the move in. After Toby, he goes with the lasso. Already catching out a couple. Still with Lotus Orbs and Aeon just are going to save for now as the lasso once again is on the tips in the back lines, and now Saberlight. He'll make the jump in. Stem's already down. No goals really there as well. Stems, well, he's dropping quite low here. He won't make it out. does go down. While FBZ jumping right back in along with Jackie. We're trying to salvage this team fight onto the battle line. They go with Stormstormer, somehow still surviving. Eventually does finally go down as Boom, they're not done yet. Onto Saberlight they go. Surely they've got the outcome as soon as they do. They take him out. The fight continues though. Toby, he'll keep trying, but Jackie, he'll man up here against the Venomancer. But can he get it done? It doesn't seem like it. They'll take him out. No buyback available on any of the heroes that went down. Apart from FBZ, who already commits his buyback. Yopaj, keep the fight going. Onto Toby. FBZ, he'll rejoin as well. Toby dropping very, very low in the Rolling Thunder. It's back up. That's how long the team fight's been going. Back onto the Venomancer. Toby should end up dropping here, or maybe not though. Yopaj, a very nice Rolling Thunder right through to the Chen. They've got the Venom locked down. FBZ, they're lacking so much damage, but eventually they'll get it done. Who takes Roshan now, John?
Yeah, that's an awkward one without the damage dealers from both sides.
Dire's
I mean,
middle
I would
tower
love to
is
see a
under
Zeus
attack.
Chen just give it a whirl.
My thrift
Yeah,
reward.
they could give it a shot, but probably not the most advisable idea for Entity. So both sides going to have to wait a little bit longer here, Mike, as the game stays steady. 36 to 39, 29k lead for Entity Gaming, but it's mainly on a knock, so not the biggest deal in the world. Entity have a 72% chance to win still according to our area overlord, so still favoring the Japanese to kind of have a better plan out.
Harsh. They move in the Roshan pit.
Radiant are scanning.
Thunder is going to be there again. Face down Katomi as FPZ will be there with the Shiver's Guard. That'll force the buyback out from Toby. Get him with the Poison Nova on the Venomancer. Yopaj, he'll keep going for a bit of a chase. Won't be able to find anyone else. Back into the Roshan pit, perhaps, so Scam does get caught on the Warlock. He'll drop the Golem immediately here, as he is almost guaranteed to die. Eventually, to these Chen units who just block him in. Look at this, John.
Jeez.
No way out for Scam. Roshan, it's kind of open now for Entity.
Yeah. They've got the angle in. Boom, still a bit far out for the response. You're going to have to get running. Jack just respawns, but Roche is falling way too quick. And that should be a tool under Entity's belt to get onto that high ground next. Into the hope.
It's there. They do not find anyone quite yet. Skatomi looking to back off for a bit as Yopaj will move in. The Ursa, where is he? Onto Stormstormer they go. They want that Bat Rider. He's just such a nuisance in these team fights. Abyssal Blades out. The Bat locked down. They've got the Aegis down on the Bat Rider for now, but he's got that secondary line to Saberlight. He'll keep going onto Tim's, onto the Tiny. Meanwhile, Jackie just has to run a Stormstormer. He'll chase him out. Catch the lasso, locks him down, and takes him out as well. No buyback available. FBZ, they'll try to run, but they have another lasso if they need it, and they won't. They'll hold out. Entity, this is the chance they've been waiting for, John. Onto the high ground they go.
And they've got a clear path, no buybacks on Boom, on FBZ and Jackie. I don't know if you really want to gun for all the racks. You could probably look for the ending. He's a risk.
Another Rolling Thunder. Yopaj going to try and hold them back. You want those tier 5 items, John. Onto the Veno they go. Toby. He's just fine. There's just no damage. And now the lasso is there. Stormstormer finding a great angle through the Rolling Thunder. Yopaj, he'll roll up and just go all across the map here. Just trying to find a way out. Swashbuckle towards the west, but he's been caught. He's gone. Immediate buyback from Yopaj. Rolling Thunder up in 10 seconds
Dire's
anyway.
middle tower is under attack.
They'll go for the T4 towers, it seems. They'll try to go right for the jugular. They know they don't have the Ursa or the Death Prophet, so surely they can't defend this one. Entity will keep trying.
Radiant structure.
As Boomer just kind of held within the base thanks to this upheaval. Stormstormer will knock them out. Yopaj right back in with the Rolling Thunder. Back in onto Toby, trying to find Saberlight. They're just going to buy 20 more seconds here for Jackie to respawn. But can they surely get it done? Saberlight still getting stunned up here by Yopaj. This man just won't quit. The disarm's out as well. Tim should just drop here on the Tiny. Surely eventually the poison over damage, and he will. Yo punch, caught out. Entity, they should have this game in the bag. GD not called yet though, but the Ancient is completely exposed. They're trying their absolute best, but Entity completely ignored them. Onto the Ancient, the GD calls there. Game 2 is over. Entity, they managed to pull off the 2-0 victory here against Boom Esports. It was a great game 2 between these two teams, John, but Entity proving to be a little bit too strong here today.
Yeah, that's just maddening what they managed to do here on Entity and Boom. I mean, they went back for the Ursa, right? Like, it just allowed Entity to go into that Vindmancer they love to play around with. And they managed to get this overwhelming start.